guys. It is Monday night for us. It's Tuesday morning for you guys. We are here and doing this devotional. And it was a busy day, guys. Yesterday and then today for Monday for us, like my allergies hit really bad last week. And then when it started raining, it helped settle it. But every time I get these really bad allergies, like hay fever type, like in springtime, usually lasts about a month and a half. It happens every year that when I get it, when they start to, because what happens, my nose will either get stuffed or runny, my eyes start itching, my throat starts hurting. And in the beginning, when it first hits, like I get a cold also with it. It's weird. But anyways, Sharon ended up getting a cold. Lily ended up getting a cold. And so then on top of that, we completely forgot that months and months and months ago, Sharon had an eye appointment with a specialist, a neuro-ophthalmologist, like a brain and eye specialist in Stanford University. So, I ended up having to take that trip and went out to Palo Alto, which is out, that's where Facebook is at and a lot of other tech companies, Silicon Valley, So we took a drive. It took us about an hour and a half to get over there. We were there for hours because they do these different tests and field tests and whatnot. Good thing is that it came back that her eyes have not gotten worse since the last time, which was about a year ago. So that was good news. But anyways, yeah, besides Sharon having a cold, just a sinus, like a sinus cold. And Lily also, for me, just a little bit right here. I'm sure you could tell on Sunday when I was preaching. But nevertheless, we're here, guys. I wanted to do this devotional, and Sharon is laying down. Anyways, actually, I wanted to share a couple of things with you. We went to this thrift store the other day, kind of show and tell, and I found this. This is cool. I found this comic. Look at that. Flintstones. And I thought it was really, really cool. It says 12 cents. I bought it for not only because I was, obviously, if you grew up back in the 70s, you're bound to be a Flintstones fan. But actually what really got me, because there was a whole stack of them, was this back page. I'm going to tell you the story about this. Look at this. It says 200-piece set, World War II soldiers, two armies, the Americans, the Germans, only $1.98 for 200, guys. You got to understand that back then, if you were growing up, you had those little green soldiers. And I don't know who else fell for this, but I fell for it. $1.98 for a 200-piece soldier set. And then it would say like this. Watch, where's it at? Let me turn my flashlight on here. It says $1.98. Send me my 200-piece set of World War II American and German soldiers, and postal money order for $2.50 for each set because of for Canadian. And it doesn't say it here, but usually, guys, back then when things were when you would order things like this back then, it wasn't no Amazon back then. You would have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get your whatever it is you ordered. And man, I couldn't wait those 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it was. It couldn't come any sooner. And finally, this package came. 200-piece soldiers. This is what's weird. The package was a little box like this, like a little tiny box. And I was like, what is this? When I opened it, oh, those 200 pieces, all right. The soldiers were like this, man. It was a 200. It was funny. Whatever. That was messed up. I thought I was going to get 200 of the green soldiers. And then I also bought this one. Dennis the Menace Christmas special, 35 cents. This is why I bought it. Because if you look at the year I was born, 1972, 35 cents. Not only is that cool, but I actually had this as a kid. And then I found a Disney one with a Donald Duck on the front, and I bought it for my oldest daughter. She was really happy. You know, it was a 1960. So that thing was, wow, 63 years old, the comic book. It was cool. Anyways, oh great, now I made myself blurry because I had it's not gonna focus. Well, hopefully it will because I'm blurry now. Maybe if I do this, will it try to focus on this? I don't know. Either way, hopefully it will. What I wanted to talk about today was actually Sharon and I were blessed enough to go to the movie theater on Thursday and opening day for the movie Jesus Revolution. And so I just want to give you a backdrop on why I was interested in the movie. And guys, it's bugging me. It's not trying to get it to what's it called? Automatic focus. I'm trying to, maybe it'll focus on my hand and then it'll focus back on me there. There it is. All right. Anyways, the movie Jesus Revolution was not a fluke for me to go watch it. I was really excited to see it because it is based on a story of Calvary Chapel founder Chuck Smith. If you don't know who that is, he was a pastor of Greg Laurie, who is a very, very well-known pastor. Raul Reese, also in Diamond Bar, California, down south. And there's another pastor, McIntosh, and many others, guys. But I didn't know nothing about Calvary Chapel. And when I was incarcerated, I came across the testimony of Chuck Smith in a book. And then later on in months, somehow guys, you gotta understand it, in jail, books, when people send books into your family, when your family send books in, eventually that thing gets distributed. You know, the person reads it and then they throw it into the library and it just gets, you know, it gets around that way. And somehow I got my hands on the Greg Laurie testimony, which is what this movie was based on. And then I also saw Raul Reese. Actually, you know what? It wasn't the Chuck Smith. It was Greg Laurie, who the movie is based on. Raul Reese's testimony. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was a black belt. A crazy transformation for him. And then another pastor named McIntosh. And they always talked about this Jesus Revolution and reaching the hippies. And so all three books kind of like were telling a full story of how they got saved and what they did in ministry. So I found it very interesting because, as you know, I knew I was called a pastor, and reading their stories of how they started in ministry was enlightening to me, you know. And then I think I wrote them. I wrote the church or Calvary Chapel, or I forgot who I wrote. Well, Greg Laurie's church, because his church is not Calvary Chapel, it's something else. Can't think of it right now. It's not even important. But they had a prison ministry, so they would send these Bible studies. As soon as I would finish a Bible study, they would send me, because what they did was saying, if you graduate, I think 10 lessons, they send you a free Bible. It was an NLT. And I still have that Bible, actually. And so keep checking my phone because I keep seeing it. Oh, never mind. I thought it was a text. It was that my phone disconnected. My watch disconnected from my phone. Anyways, I did the 10 Bible studies. As soon as I would finish it, I would send it off. And then I would get the next one. But it was so cool because they had these like little cards, like with some kind of scripture, and on the back it would be personally, um, somebody would personally in their staff write back and say, "Good job, David. God bless you." Like it was always something. It was very personalized, and that was meaningful. I saved those little cards. So each time I did a lesson, I had this little personalized little card from Greg Laurie's church. And finally, after the 10 lessons, I think it was 10 lessons, maybe it was 12, they sent me a free Bible, guys. And that was so awesome. And NLT, even though I had my New King James and I had a King James, but the NLT was a little easier to read, so I would use it as a supplemental Bible, kind of the same way that I use the Message Bible. And so for that, I'm forever grateful, guys. I'm forever grateful for him publishing his book, Greg Laurie, Raul Reese, McIntosh. I'm grateful for the Bible studies that they were able to bless inmates with. I share that address with other inmates, and they would do the same thing. And then actually them sending me a Bible, the little personalized notes. So I was really excited, to know that they had produced this film that was going to be out in theaters. And I have never been part of Calvary Chapel, have never attended a Calvary Chapel church. But I think because of the Bible studies and how they blessed me with that Bible, I guess I felt like I'm a little tiny part of that story, I guess. And it was a huge blessing for me. And so on opening day, it came out Thursday. I took Sharon, and man, we were so blessed by it, and I unfortunately, you're always gonna hear something negative. I haven't really heard a lot, but brace yourself, because if you haven't, I'm sure you will. And all I got to say for anybody that watches it or feels negative toward it for whatever reason, I don't know what you're going to find negative about it, but is this, guys, is stop having such a critical spirit. The name of Jesus is in theaters across this nation. Not only that, but it's a movie about a movement of God where thousands, potentially millions, got saved at that time. And I'm not going to say Calvary Chapel was the only reason there was a revival, because you had pastors, you had R.W. Schambach, you had Billy Graham at that time, you had Jimmy Swaggart at the time. I know there was some scandal that went on, but nevertheless, thousands of people got saved. There was a lot of people. There was just this move of God that was happening, and watching this movie gave a little bit of a glimpse of that, and I want to say even this is that, I grew up in church. My mom got saved when I was 5, my dad when I was 8, and I sat in Pentecostal churches. I sat in tent revivals. I sat in churches and places, and I've seen the move of God. I would see, the pastors just be preach with so much passion, and then I became a teenager and pretty much wanted nothing to do with church. So then you were talking about a couple of decades of me wanting nothing to do with church. But it's kind of weird, right? Because in a sense, I'm going to hopefully I explain myself right. In a sense, my way of preaching is in a sense a time capsule. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Is that when guys go to prison, let's say you go to prison in the 80s, and then that's a long time ago. Let's say you go to prison in the 90s and you get out 20 years later. Everything's different. But in your mindset, you still want to dress and talk the way you did when you got locked up, because it's almost like you got put in a time capsule. And everything out here, like, it was just a weird thing. I remember, okay, it's just kind of silly, but I'm going to say it. When I got out, You see, like, for instance, this is something really, I'm just going to share it. Before I went to prison, guys, women were very conservative still. I'm talking about homegirls and people that were out and about. They were kind of, unless a girl was way out there, she wasn't going to be showing too much of herself. And the 6 years I was gone, it was the weirdest thing. I get out and I remember going to the DMV and every girl has a low cut shirt. I go to get insurance for my car. I'm talking places of business, like everywhere in the grocery store, there's women with low cut shirts, the way that if you would have gone to a club before I went to prison, and even then it would have been like the girls that were way out would have had a really low cut shirt. And now it's like in everybody, in the grocery store, in the bank line, in McDonald's. And I'm just like, what happened in the 6 years I was gone? You know, it was such a weird thing. So I say that to say this is that when you get locked up, it's like you're put in a time capsule in a sense. It's almost like you're preserved, you know? And so think about this, right? Is that my dad got saved my mom when I was 5. So I was born in 72. So 1977, my mom gets saved. And this is in the midst of this Jesus revolution, in the midst of people getting saved, masses of people, Billy Graham, Jimmy Swaggart. I mean, you just Schambach, and I mean, you name it, right? Including, you know, Greg Laurie's and Chuck Smith. And so, David Wilkerson, can't leave him out of it. Nikki Cruz from the Crossing the Switchblade. Anyways, and then my dad gets saved when I was 8, so 1980. And then maybe I stayed in church maybe till I was about 14, and then I stopped. So 14 is 1980, 1986. So imagine 1986, I stopped. I was just doing my thing, gang banging, did what I wanted to do. Had a daughter by the time I was 18 years old, 17 years old. So I was off to do my life, do whatever I wanted to do. And then I come to the Lord at 32 years old. So the 80s passes by. The 90s pass by. I get locked up in 2004. So then the 2000s pass by. I get out in 2010. So I have not been in a Christian setting from, let's say, 1984, 85. Think about that. 1984, 85. Imagine I'm preserved. Because to me at that time, preaching is these preachers moving in the power of the Holy Ghost. I mean, so just imagine that, just a snapshot of that. And then nothing, and then 2010. You are talking a big gap of time. Now, what happened in that gap of time is mega churches began to spring up all across the country, especially in Texas. You have the T.D. Jakes, you have the Joel Osteens, you name it. I don't even know the names, but so what I grew up with morphed into this mega church setting where big sound, big stage, big events, and it just became huge. And unfortunately with that, a lot of watering down. Same thing happened to rap music. Think about it. Rap music started in the hood. It started in the Bronx. It started in New York. And then it became Hollywood. It became something that was never meant to be from the beginning. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say it wasn't meant to be, but it was just the evolution of rap got from the street corner to the mansion. And it just progressed. And it waters down and it gets compromised. And next thing you know, you have executives and record executives, and everybody has their fingers in it. Everybody has their hands in it. And all of a sudden, this beautiful art form of rap that was for the broke and the poor, that didn't have instruments or anything, all they had is a drum beat, and look what it became. So in the same way, guys, I was time capsuled, because to me, preaching was this, and then I'm out in the world and in prison, and all this craziness happened, and all of a sudden now we drop ourselves to now. And people say, man, I really love, how you guys have service, how you guys worship, how from beginning all the way from the moment Sharon sings, and the other worship team, whether it's Rihanna or Sister Katie or Sister Jessica or Leanna, whoever it is, that, from the beginning all the way to the end. And I think what's happening is some people either have never seen that because they're used to that gap that I missed, or people are saying, this reminds me of the way it used to be, or at least it's going in that direction. So I say all of that to say this, is that I really enjoyed this movie, because in a sense, it reminded me, and it was watching it's like opening up a time capsule and seeing what was happening in the 70s. And I guess it just reminded me, and I don't ever want to change from that or deviate from that or become too polished or too, I don't know what the word is, because I truly believe that the word needs to be delivered very raw and uncut, guys. And sometimes that doesn't make for a very pretty service. It doesn't make for a perfect cookie cut church service. But that's all right, I think people are tired of that. So anyway, I just wanted to share my heart, guys, on how blessed we were to watch that movie. And I really hope you guys go watch it, and I'm really excited about it because I think they were, I read this thing on opening weekend. Let me share this with you here. On opening weekend, because it came out Thursday, so I'm thinking they're talking about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Where is it at? I got it right here somewhere. Somewhere. Or not. Did I not have it here? It was talking about opening night. Man, I knew I screenshot. Oh, wait, it's a screenshot. What am I doing here? Here it is. It says Jesus Revolution overperforms with $15.5 million in domestic box office debut. Yeah, I know that's a drop in the bucket when you think of Marvel movies or whatnot, but here's the thing, is that the film was originally projected to make around $7 million on its debut weekend. They were projecting 7 million, guys. And as of right now, or yesterday, it's at $15.5 million. Now, that might not be a lot for Marvel, but think about it. Marvel, that's a huge budget. They have a lot of CGI, a lot of special effects, a lot of different big actors. This was a movie that didn't take a whole lot of that. And they were projecting they would make 7 million. And at this point, it's at 15.5. Why is this good news? This is good news because it gets the attention of Hollywood, and it gets the attention of directors, and that we don't have to chase after Hollywood to make movies for us, because movie directors and producers and actors need to realize that we can create our own films and support our own films with our own money, because ain't nothing wrong with going and watching a Marvel movie, but if you're going to go drop money on that at the box office, then support our own. But at the same time, our own have to make movies that are up to par. You know, we can't just be like, oh, let's just support Christian films and then they're whack movies. You know, so I think it goes hand in hand that producers need to produce well-produced Christian films, and the people, and I believe that this is proof that if a Christian produces a well-produced film, that the people will go and pay for it to watch it. I don't know. I just think it was good news. I think it's awesome. And I think that gets the attention, you know, of people that it needs to get attention to. I wonder what the budget was for it. Let me see. I'm not sure if this stuff is, let's see. What did it cost to make? Let's see. I don't know. Oh, wait, no. How much did it make? 15,000. I mean, $15 million. So they have just broken even. And people are still watching it. It hasn't ended yet. People are still going. The theaters are filled up. People are still going, guys. That is so awesome. And this is before, I mean, you obviously know within a few months it's going to be on Blu-ray. It's going to be streaming. It's going to be available for stream, available for purchase, for digital purchase. Yeah, this is great news in my humble opinion, guys. It says here had surpassing expectations with the $7 million opening day. What else? Yeah, it's a solid start for a small budgeted film, or even better from the point of view of the screens. The Jesus Revolution had a budget of less than 15 million, and compared to it, the film's debut at the box office is praiseworthy. So they've already made back the money that it took to make it. That is so awesome, guys. So anyways, it got really bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but the people's response for reviews is 99.9% thumbs up. So with that, guys, I'm going to let you go. I just wanted to have this devotional for you. I know we didn't read a scripture, but I really wanted to share about this and just kind of give you my backstory of how important this film was, in my opinion, for me, you know. And but anyways, guys, God bless you. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. All right. Now I'm going to move my mouse. There it is. See you later.